Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay on ubnradio.com.
And welcome. You are listening to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower Studios, ubnradio.com, and every Thursday now syndicated on NBC News Radio, KCAA AM 1050 out of Loma Linda. So welcome to the show, and this is actually where Newsroom and Scandal are filmed on Sunset Gower Studios, but there's no scandal here. This is a show about hope and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So there's no angry ranting, no political rhetoric, no K-words at all, no Kardashian talk. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. I'm your host, Dr. Marissa Pay, P for positive, an organizational psychologist that wants not to shrink you, but to expand you. And there's a aha. And thanks to my station managers, Tony, Bill, sound engineers Carlos and Jarvis at both my UBN and KCAA broadcasting families, and my assistant producer, Jarvis Essex. And today we are blessed with having another Radio for Our Deaf episode with my beautiful staff interpreter, Sharon Pierre-Lewis. And a peace in and peace out. Shout out to all of my new and old friends in my past weekend travel to San Francisco for a not board meeting. Hello to all of my Alliant students, faculty, as well as Presidio. And Liddy, who I met on a Lyft ride. Sarah and Carlos at Bowden's. And and Justine. Now, Justine I met at Agape on Sunday, and she said, I've been listening to your show, and I'm wondering why you don't talk about what's going on at the beginning of the show, and you don't talk about the headlines. And there's a reason for that, because as one of my favorite teachers, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, says, that media sometimes has the capacity to be a weapon of mass distraction. And there's so many things that we could be focusing in on, but they seem to pick the ones that bring out the worst in people. And just to test it, I turned on the 6 o'clock news last night, and of course, somebody did somebody bad. There was rape, there was murder, there was a cheating government official. So it's the same story, different names, same story. Fear, lack, limitation, the Ebola scare. But she did ask me what my take on the Ebola was. So I thought I would start today by saying my balanced view is that when there are, yes, it is real, it is a scare, it is something that nobody wants to have happen to them. However, if we consume our day thinking about that fear that it generates, what we pay attention to will grow bigger. So instead, we take that breath and we pray for all of those affected by the virus. And we also I know that our humanity, our inspiration, our ability to be healthcare professionals and inspired individuals, our scientists are going to come up with some kind of a cure or some kind of way to prevent the spread. And that's where I want to focus. And that's how I balance out all of the other negative messages that do raise the fear, anxiety, worry, and negative vibration that aren't good for us. So join me in that balanced view I ask of my listeners. And speaking of inspirations, today's guest is someone who absolutely does take the positive on a very negative situation or something that he has gone through. My guest is Frederick. He was a 15-year-old boy in his native Rwanda. He was dragged from a bus and brutally attacked by the Hutu militia rebels. When he refused to kill 17 fellow passengers, the rebels hacked off Frederick's hands with machetes and left him for dead. With every reason to hate, to hurt, to fade from life, Frederick instead has become a Rwandan genocide survivor and co-founder of the Ubumwe Community Center, an organization that helps people like me to discover their purpose and abilities in spite of their circumstances. Please welcome to my studio the author of Frederick, A Story of Boundless Hope.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Frederick. And we also have in the studio today Reverend Carolyn Wilkins, who actually introduced me to Frederick and asked to have him on. And of course, I said yes. She's a dear sister of mine. She actually came to my hospital bed and prayed with me when I had my hip replacement a couple years ago. So here she is, Reverend Carolyn Wilkins. And she is very a leader at the Agape International Spiritual Center, also a consultant and a teacher. So we welcome her. So Frederick, let's start with you. As I do with all of my guests, I'd like you to take me back to that point that I just described. And in order to do so, I want to connect with you through breath, through chi. So I'm just going to close my eyes gently and ask you to do the same. And just take a deep breath in. And releasing through the mouth as I settle in and I just connect with you and feel your presence and feel who you are. And then gently opening your eyes. Tell me what happened when you were 15.
Well, when I was 15 years old, I was live with my family, and the situation there and in Rwanda, it was really hard. So I was traveling, going to see my aunt. Her husband was killed. And I stopped. In a way, I mean, what happened there at 1998, that's what this happened to me. Was part of the killer who was killing during the genocide.
Right.
They just continue to kill people. So
this was after the pact was signed. There was not supposed to be any more killing, correct?
Right.
So this was after the peace pact had been signed.
It was after almost like 3 years.
3 years after. So you had no inkling that there was any danger. You get on the bus.
Well, in my area where I grew up in a village, it was security, but we can hear this story happen to other villages where the killers just have done like 5 people, 10, and at the moment where I was going to see what happened to my aunt, her husband was killed. That's a message we get. Going there to see how I can help her, and I didn't get a chance to be able to help her. Because what happened, they kill her until Hamwe stop the bus and take everybody out. And
they had guns,
machete, and some the wood. That is kind of material they use, it's their weapons.
Okay.
When they was stop the bus,
right?
Everybody know what's going on. The most people are the adult, but at that moment, it was everybody from a different village, different town.
Right.
We was included on the bus.
Okay.
That means they were Tutsi, Hutu.
So there was
everybody was
everybody
in it,
was on the bus. It wasn't just one group.
Right.
And let me just interrupt you for 1 second. For those listeners who weren't aware or didn't listen to news at that time, just an estimated 800,000 people were killed in 100 days in the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Thousands more were maimed and mutilated, and rebel attacks continued for many years after 1994. More than 300,000 children were separated from their families or orphaned. Rwanda, a small landlocked nation in Central Africa, is one of the poorest and most underdeveloped nations in the world. The genocide dramatically impacted Rwanda's education system and, of course, your life. So just a little bit of history for those of you who don't remember what happened. So, but it was supposed to be over. So you had Rwandans of all kinds. You had the Tutus and you had the other groups as well.
Well, if you are in Rwanda, it's hard to tell, like, this is the Hutu, this is the Tutsi.
Yes.
We are one. We are Rwandan.
Yes.
But the current, they know who are because
How do they know?
can see. They during that time before they use the ID card, but that time it was not supposed to be written Hutu or Tutsi because it was over.
Right.
And they just decide that they have to kill all. They don't says because there was a situation. I think they plan to kill everybody.
They still wanted to kill the Tutsis.
Right.
Even though they were not supposed to.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And I was 15 years old. I think they chose me to train me to kill, to be able to join them to kill. That's what I feel like. When the moment when they tie our arms and using a rope, they can, or you can tell they're going to kill us. So they asked me to kill all of my fellow passenger, and I said no, kill me first. That was only one moment I feel God gave him a chance to live until today.
Wow.
And they beat me around, they strapped me, and they just hit by guns, and they...
And you knew you were going to probably die by saying no.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
But you
I
weren't
was about
afraid?
To die.
You weren't afraid?
I was deeply.
Okay.
Let's
yeah. I just want to be
deeply
clear.
died.
Okay. But
Right,
but
died.
no matter how afraid you were, you would not kill the fellow passengers.
Because I know that is sin. It's hard to kill the people we met in a bus. My brother, my sister.
Right.
I feel as a Rwandan, we know what was happening before, because when you kill somebody no reason, I was not able to do that because I know what
You knew
God
it was,
doesn't want me.
Okay. So then you resigned to probably getting killed. They tied your arms.
They tie everybody in arms
And then
and take them off clothes. They
stripped you.
take
Okay.
the clothes on,
Yep.
and they kill everybody as an example to show me that if I don't do that, they will do that to me too.
Wow.
But as I was standing the buffalo leg and I say no, they punish me to cut off my hands as to show other Rwandan. That was a punish. So, but they said that they're going to give him a message to send to the village. That was a message was to cut off my hands.
Wow.
But before, for me, I feel like they're going to write paper so I can hand out to someone. I didn't realize
You
that
didn't?
they're going
Okay.
to cut off my hands. So in the moment, they decide to cut off my hands by
Wow.
machete.
Wow.
It take like many times to be able to cut off because the machete was a weird door.
It wasn't sharp. So it was
Yeah,
it was
because it's some
I'm so
they
I'm
use
sorry.
they use for a long time to kill people, cutting wood.
I am sorry. I am
Really?
sorry that happened.
They'll be sorry, God,
Yes, yes,
Can't
but
have
at the same
Adam
time,
purpose, yeah.
when things like that happen, I'm not feeling sorry for you, but I'm sorry that happened. That must have been horrific
Thank
as a
you.
15-year-old. I mean, I just can't even imagine. And then, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, instead of going to the streets to beg, you decided.
Well, that moment, I was living in a hospital actually, which was hard to be able to hand out what I was living the life situation.
Right.
I decided that I want to go to beg and see where I can get help.
Right.
And I found that it's not really easy for me to even to carry things, to carry
Right.
food
Right.
with me with no hands, and decide that is not really good to begging.
Right.
I decided to help, ask the other people join me, put hand together. I'm not begging.
Right.
So I decide I go back to the orphanage where I used to live and share with my friend Zachary. He was my teacher, and I share with him this story. And at the moment, just come a call from California Venice. She
Yes.
came over there in Rwanda. We talk around, share what was going on,
Right.
and finally she say how I can
Help you.
help. So I said, let's have a center where the people can come, socialize, and get education by not even going into the class, but they can learn from each other what's going on.
Right.
That to help each other and
That's-
feeling and hope to get
Beautiful.
back.
Hope.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. If you've just joined us, I have the privilege and the honor of speaking with Frederick, who is here sharing his life story of how, as a 15-year-old, he lost both of his hands to the Rwandan regime. And they did not convince him, even with that, to join the rebel forces. And he's here, and we're just so privileged to have him. And we also have with him one of his team, and she is a director of global works at the Agape International Spiritual Center. Carolyn, Reverend Carolyn, how did you meet Frederick? And
I met Frederick through Jessica McCall and Jesse's Place, who you'll meet in a few minutes. And what is so intriguing is Jessica shared the story with me, and then I knew Frederick was coming, and I was all prepared, and I was filled with this sadness and, oh my goodness, how could they do that? And I had similar emotions that you just had today. And Frederick walked into the room at Agape. His smile filled the room. He held his arms up and embraced me. And I did not see the image that I had put on him. I saw a happy, joyful, hopeful young man.
yes.
And that's really the message that I want to have, that there are three things that I've really embraced from Frederick's story, and I've known him for several years now. But the first is there was a moment, a defining moment in his young life at 15, where he had the character, the values, and the virtue to say, I'm going to stand in what I know. I'm going to stand in a place of love, in a place of oneness, and in a place of fellowship with my human beings who are here. And no one can take that from me.
Right.
He was afraid, but he said, you can kill me, but you can't take that from me.
Yeah.
So I was just so impressed with that, and it is impressed upon my heart. Secondly, he was willing to live. It was not easy. And he had to drag himself and have a physical experience of living a different way. But he was willing to live. And sometimes when we have tragedy in our world, when we have problems, we become resigned in life. He chose not to be resigned. He chose to live. And thirdly, he chose to make a difference. By him starting the Mbungwe Center with Zachary and Jessica, he put himself in the background and allowed himself to move forward by helping others. And they've gone from 3 people a day to over 250 people a day.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's a story of what can happen in a life and the miracles that can come out of what some may call tragedy and others may call an experience that brought the best of Frederick into the world.
Yes.
So I give great thanks to him
Yes.
for being the one that had that experience. and being the one who took the experience and made it something magnificent.
Yep. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Reverend Carolyn. Yes. We're going to be right back. We're going to take just 30 seconds to thank the sponsor for this show today, and we'll be back with Jesse McCall and Linda, who runs Jesse's Place, and how Reverend Carolyn has mentioned her name, what happened with Frederick when he met Jesse. So we'll be right back in 2 and 2.
Do you want more life balance? Are you 88% happy with your health and well-being, your relationships, your livelihood? If yes, do the Abundance. If no, and you'd like a life balance tune-up and align those head, heart, spark plugs and smog check the BS belief systems that are clogging your lifelines, contact Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, at www.4balance.org for a session on the air or a private one on the beach.
Have a sports injury? Is your posture pulling you down? Does your body feel like it needs a tune-up? Have you been in an accident and you're not getting real relief from the pain? Then it's time for a free consultation with the experienced, comfortable expertise at Seal Beach Physical Therapy. With offices conveniently located in Newport Beach, Thousand Oaks, Moore Park, and Seal Beach, don't delay. Make your body pain disappear with excellent hands and state-of-the-art equipment at Seal Beach Physical Therapy. That's SealBeachPT.com. SealBeachPT.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at Naturally High Noon, ubnradio.com. Also on Thursdays at 7 p.m. on my NBC News radio station, KCAA AM 1050 Loma Linda. And we are blessed today to have a very special guest, Frederick, who had his hands cut off by the Rwandan regime when he was 15 years old. But instead of letting that get him down or change his life for the worse, he has taken that experience, and as Reverend Carolyn said before the break, has taken that and really brought forth his unique talent, gift, and ability of both compassion and understanding to start a center in his home country, Rwanda, that helps others like him. And then he also met a woman named Jessica McCall, and I'm going to let her tell the story of how they met and what they're doing now. Jessica, welcome to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So
it's a privilege to be here.
Absolutely. And actually, before you start, we also have her executive director, I believe.
Yes.
And that is Linda, also here on the show. Could we welcome Linda to the show? Linda Romano.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So happy to be here.
Absolutely. Could you sit up just a little closer to your mic? That would be awesome. Now, Jessica, please tell me what happened the first time you met Frederick.
Well, it's kind of an interesting story how we met.
That's why I'm asking.
You know, and I was in a dentist's office, and I read People's Magazine about a fantastic woman named Mrs. Carr. And I won't go into her long story, but she is an absolutely fascinating woman and had the Imbabazi orphanage where Frederick was at. And so in the article, it said something about she would like teddy bears for her children. Well, I traveled around. We had many programs in Jesse's Place, but one of them was to take teddy bears to hospitals, to Mexico, to Guatemala, to children, because everyone needs a hug. So I thought, I can't meet Mrs. Roosevelt, I can't meet Martin Luther King, I can't meet Gandhi, but I can go and meet Mrs. Carr and take 120 teddy bears to her.
Fantastic.
Well, it was a great idea. However, I lent the magazine to someone and they lost it. And I could not find it for a couple years. And one day, I'm watching primetime TV, and they have this lovely young man from Rwanda who didn't speak much English at all. They had an interpreter, And he had this fabulous smile, as we all know, that lights up the room. Well,
Yes.
it lit up the television.
Mm.
And he told his story, which, of course, I was very touched by. But they showed him going back to Rwanda on a bus. As he was driving up, I saw this sign that said the Imbazi Orphanage. I said, I think that's where I want to go.
Oh, wow.
And so we focused down, and there was Mrs. Carr. She was in her 80s by then, maybe late 80s.
Mm.
So I got in touch with the television station, got a copy of the show. We got in touch and happened through there to meet Zachary. And I got my teddy bears together and went to Rwanda.
Wow.
So on the day before I was going to leave, Frederick invited me to the park to meet some of his friends that had various degrees of challenges. So it was kind of raining out lightly, and he kept saying, let's go pray. Let's go pray. And I thought, well, it'd be nice to pray in the park, you know.
Right.
So, but that wasn't it. He wanted me to come over and see his friends play volleyball, of which he's very good at. And, one man, he would hit the ball and kind of fall over, but they kept going. And there was a man who had been shot in the head. And he turned to me, very agape-like, as you will hear, and he said to me, I want to thank you for all you're going to do for us. And I turned to Frederick and said, let's have a center. I had no intentions of having a center. I intended to send money to Frederick and Zachary and the orphanage. But he said, Frederick, Zachary, and I have been praying for this. And so
you went from teddy bears to a center.
And we've been like family since then. And it's just been a wonderful privilege to be a part of this, to know that many people are being helped. And
Absolutely.
So being co-founder is one thing, but Jesse's Place, from here, we collaborate with the rest of the center in Jesse's Place, and we have what's called the home visit program. And we go to very rural areas
in Rwanda.
And we help to people, women, especially women, that have very severely mentally challenged children or old people, where they have it's extreme poverty. And we're able to have a co-op. We're growing gardens now.
That's beautiful.
We're helping houses be built where there was like no roofs and rain coming in. And so our mission is to do that. And I've been there this year, staying a number of months, and I will be moving there in December. So
you're moving there. Wow.
Yes,
how exciting is that?
So I can just continue to be there every day with Frederick and Zachary and all the loving children.
That's beautiful. Now, I'm just going to take a breath and a little segue here, because if you're a first-time listener or you don't listen to my show a lot, you might be saying, well, that's good and nice. This is called the put the moose on the table moment. It's my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. So there are those who would say, that's all good and fine, but why don't you help people who need help in our backyard? Because in America, we have people who really would need your kind of help. And why are you helping people as far away in Rwanda? Why do you care? And my response is, this is the Dr. Mercer response, and I'm sure you'll have your own, but my response is, why can't we do it all? Why can't we celebrate the fact that Jessica has felt a calling that was sort of directed by you and Zachary and the power of your prayer. And then if you would like to do some help in our backyard, it would be great if you could do that. Because I think the whole idea that we are somehow patriotically bound, I think I call it planet patriotism, is what I would like to see, that we all care about everyone instead of just who's within our boundaries. So that's my little Dr. Marissa insert there. Frederick, one of the most fascinating parts of your story is the one where you ran into the guy who actually chopped your hands off. Tell me about that.
I was sitting in a cafe shop, having coffee, and this man walking into.
How many years
inside.
after this?
Well, it was.
How old were you?
I was around 17, 18.
70, so couple, 3 years
couple,
later.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was living in a hospital for a long time, and
Right.
I moved in the hospital 1 year, and
Uh-huh.
I went to the orphanage. So in the orphanage, when I was walk out, visit your friends,
Uh-huh.
so they take me to that place. So where actually I met this man.
Mm-hmm.
He walked inside. He
And you
know
knew.
who I am,
He
but
knew.
I don't know. I
You
don't know
didn't know.
him because
Okay.
the faces was,
You
and,
were in trauma. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, in a bad situation. Sometimes you don't
Of
know
course,
what's going on.
of
And
course.
he knew me. He asked. He said that, I know who you are. And I said, how you know me? Well, this man, he tried keeping telling me what was going on. I hear that who was one, and he told me this. What he done to me, I feel like he was asking forgive. And other way, I can feel that even he was open to share. That is not something easy to tell. And yeah, I was sitting with a sister, and he was having a friend come over there. So he said that means it's kind of a testimony. When I say this, I really feel like the way I responded to him was good to me. I tell him after he done to tell me, I said, even before you tell me this, I was already forgive you, and now I forgive you because I know that forgive is a key of life. Because into the hospital, I was learning so many things, saying people helping me, giving me love, giving me hope. That it was another way I feel like God used other way to figure out, because I know that if I don't forgive him, I'll keep tie with him. But if I will forgive him, I will lift him and I will be free. Because when you forgive, you have
You
power, you have a good life, you have
Yes. Yes.
everything
That's beautiful.
from that.
So when you don't forgive someone, you're
You're
tied to them.
To him, yeah.
But when you forgive, you set
Open
them and yourself free.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm a big cheerleader for forgiveness. If you've
Thank
listened
you.
to my show, I absolutely, I have this little saying, if you don't forgive and you're really angry at someone and you hate them and you don't want to look at them, to not forgive is like I'm going to gouge out my own eye so I don't have to look at you anymore. So I'm hurting myself more than I'm hurting that person by not
Absolutely.
forgiving. But for those of us who are realists, and I'm not actually, but I'm going to say this on behalf of the listening realists. Were you never angry with him? Were you never bitter? Were you ever, that first year in the hospital? Was there a point where you, where did you get this enlightenment, or what I would say, what decided? I'm sure it's the same force that gave you the courage to say, I'm not going to kill the passengers. But share with me what happened in the hospital. Were there things that happened, or?
Well, and life in hospital was not easy, as you don't have hands,
Yeah.
you don't have everything, you feel you lost.
Right.
I was feel useless, hopeless, feel painful. Every day hunger for my life. It was really completely difficult to live without hands. And once time I would take a decision to kill myself by using medicine. I was correcting from
The
every
daily,
day, yeah.
Right.
Daily I keep them and I put them together. And one night, during the night, actually, before other people sleeping, because I say that, but it was not a place to sleep. it was a place painful for everybody. Have a wound, have a problem, a leg cut off.
Right.
So for me, I feel like I don't want to leave
Mm-hmm.
because I was still and painful from both arms. When it comes like fire, and I feel like how I live without the hands.
Right.
So that moment, I take a decision. I ate all
You
the
did.
medicine,
Okay.
and I waiting to die. Next morning, I was still alive, and it was.
Were
I
you
tried
mad?
to-
Were you mad?
Well, I was
Or you
really
glad?
like feel like I don't feel like this was a medicine. I ate all, but I didn't die. This is kind of like magic. I feel like why I didn't die.
Right.
Why? Because, but I was still have some painful from medicine because my
You
neck
weren't
was
supposed to
surgery.
take that. Yes.
And but because I would do it and secret, I don't want to show everybody.
Right.
I know what was wrong, but I can feel the way that my body was weak. But
Right.
finally, I didn't die, and I said, God left me for a reason. And I can feel that moment when I was angry for myself. I turn like, because in the hospital all the time, I will have a song singing over
Right.
there. Means God was listening to that song, and because promise God says when three people sitting talking about me, I'm sitting between them. So I realized that God always watching me.
That's
That's how I
beautiful.
feel like I want to take a moment to think, not to think only myself, but to think to other people and share them a story. Because when you share a story, again, it's where you found a moment for getting medicine by
Yes.
telling a story, what happened to you, what it was, how hard it was. So, and sometimes you help yourself, you help other people
Beautiful.
by telling them a
Yes.
story.
Yes. So you knew that you were supposed to be alive for a reason because you couldn't even kill yourself.
Absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
sign right there that you're on the planet for a purpose. And that is beautiful what you just said too, is that by telling your story, by talking about the bad things that happen to yourself in a way that is to relate and help other people, you help yourself as well. And that's beautiful. That is
Thank you.
beautiful. And this is a great time to show this beautiful book that you've put together. It's called Frederick, A Story of Boundless Hope. And you can get this. It just was released, correct? And I am so grateful. I have a copy because
Thank you.
I have a show. I get to collect these wonderful things from my inspirational guests. But I am giving one away since they call me the Asian Oprah. I'm not up to cars yet, but I am going to be giving away one of these at the end of the show, and I'll let you know how. But it's a beautiful story, and I'm going to let Linda tell us about other things that you're doing right now, and how any of my listeners that are in Southern California can meet you and get a signed copy of the book. This is also available on Amazon, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
So all the regular places. But Linda, your turn. Tell me how you are supporting Frederick
Oh, well,
and the things you're doing.
the way I'm supporting Frederick and through Jesse's Place.
And what is Jesse's Place? In a
Jesse's-
couple of sentences.
Okay, well, Jesse's Place is a group of programs that works in conjunction with the Ubumwe Center.
Got it.
The programs that Jesse's Place support are mostly the home visit program that Jessica was speaking about, and the deaf and the blind programs, and we have other programs. We're really focusing on the impoverished rural areas right now.
Beautiful.
So many people are coming to the center now, doing so well that now we're able to expand, and that
Beautiful.
expansiveness is where we're focusing right now.
So any of the events that Frederick is at right now is a fundraising effort, and all of those funds go towards the center and the home visits and how you're able to help in Rwanda. Is that about right?
Yes.
Perfect. So tell
That's
me
right.
about some of the events.
Well, on November the 8th, you can come and meet Frederick in person. In Marina Del Rey, we're going to have our annual Jesse's Place benefit and musical celebration.
Wonderful.
And that will be at 6 p.m. and at the Mariners Village.
Mariners Village, 6 p.m., November the 8th, which is a what?
That's a Saturday
Saturday night. Okay. And if you'd like to take me there as a date, you can let me know. I'd love to. I'll check my calendar to see if
it's going to be a fantastic evening. We're going to have some wonderful musical entertainment, dinner, and also some fabulous people like Jack Rose from Waves to Water, who is going to be bringing his water filters. These water filters are portable, and they actually we're raising money for the water filters.
Wonderful.
The water
to take back and use.
And Frederick can actually take these back with him in his suitcase because they're so portable. They actually can clean water that is so dirty that has any kind of malaria or anything in it. And each filter can provide 1 million gallons of clean water over a period of 10 years.
Wow.
And they actually back flush themselves. So they're, just...
What a great practical thing to bring back with you to help. That's amazing. That's awesome. And then you have another event at Agape. I would be bereft if I didn't bring that up. Do you have any information on that?
Right. There's going to be a book signing at Agape on November the 9th.
Great. That's at in Culver City.
There's another event at Agape on the 15th, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
15th of November.
Of November. This
Wonderful.
This
These are all
November.
All
we're
right.
talking
Perfect.
about here. Right. And
you can get information about any time that Frederick will be at Agape at the Agape Live or agapelive.com. So those events, and then the ones at Jesse's Place.
You can go to our website at www.jesses and then dash. I was thinking slash, but it's not slash. It's dash place.com.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Jessie'sPlace.com. And it's spelt a little differently because when I went the first time, I got a dog and cat place. so it's JESS. I want to make sure my listeners get this. JESSIES dash place.com. Perfect.
Right.
Frederick, you also had an interesting thing happen. And I'm not sure if you mentioned you were brought over when you were 20 by someone near San Diego. Tell me about that one, to get prosthetics done.
Well, this happened in 2003. It was not Santiago. It's in Ohio State.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so California.
Well, I was living in an orphanage. When I
Yes.
was there living there, feel like almost the same kind of anger for like no hands
The
there.
anger,
So
right,
trying
right.
to help myself because an orphanage, that's where I learned so many things. It took me a long time to be able to handle what enemy. And the
Yes.
orphanage, I learned how to feed myself,
Clothe yourself.
put in clothes and shower.
Yes.
Because you know how many times the soap slept in your
I
hands.
bet.
So
I
to me,
bet.
it's 100 times.
Right.
So, but
right.
I never gave
Gave
up.
up,
So
uh-huh.
people come to visit there, Charlene, and work away for pattern conservation. She come there as she came to help with the orphanage. They saw me. They know one for the hospital can donate the hand. So
Okay.
I didn't bring it now, but I have it. I
You
love
have
it.
that,
So
yeah.
I called it two fingers. So we met and they brought me there. That's how Jessica saw me on TV talking
Okay,
about
that
how
was the one.
beautiful this hands was work, and I will use them like the goal was to use them and build
Right.
house actually. So in 2003, that's my first time becoming in America,
Right.
and now it's I feel it's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, several things I have to say right now. One is we take so much for granted. We take so much for granted. The water, when you were talking about the water, the hands not being able to hold soap, and we complain as Americans. We have this habit of complaining, and I hope if you haven't joined me on my 21-day fast from complaining, that if this show is not the jump off point for that, to just be so grateful. And two, you had so many points at which you could have not do what you're doing. Oh, that's not good grammar, but I mean, even your anger, or even coming to the States and getting the treatment and the gift of the hands, you could have stayed here. You could have stayed here and probably had a very comfortable, you know, people who love you and extend their home. But instead, what do? You go back to your home, Rwanda, to help people like you. And that is just like, hold on, take a breath. That was a compliment, okay? And I yell at everybody that don't take their compliments. So look at me for a second, take a breath, and say xie xie. That's Chinese for my Chinese namaste, because that is amazing, and I wanted to commend you for that. And actually, on that note, I'm giving you the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award right now in this moment. Thank you so much. A little applause there. Because really, you know, he didn't have to do that, right? He did not have to do that. You could have stayed here, but instead you turned. And by default, also, I'd like to offer both Linda and Jessica that same award, because from teddy bears to a center, and now you're moving out there and just being part of this incredible. I love the way you started it. I'm not going to meet Martin Luther King. I'm not going to meet Gandhi, but I am going to meet this woman. And guess what? You've become that woman. And I am blessed to have you on the show. I'm going to say she's not Mother Teresa, she's Mother Jessica.
Thank you so much.
So also Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. That's amazing. That's amazing. We're coming up against the end of the show, but I do want to first make sure you get a copy of Frederick's book and be inspired. Is there anything that you would like to tell my listeners about anything? What would you like to leave us with?
Well, the big things that I can end this conversation without a thank to everybody what follow us and this conversation, and also back home. Thanks to every Rwandan support me an idea to make me who I am, especially government.
The government's
helping us to be able to speak out, because every Rwandan has a story, but it's not everybody get a chance to come and tell a story. I would like to tell especially young people to be always in a positive way, and still keeping that they want good way, and take a good decision.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and thank you so much. Thank you to Frederick and Linda and Jessica and Sharon for doing the interpreting. This has been an amazing show, very inspirational. Please don't hesitate, and please get this book. It is time at the end of the show where I take a couple minutes to invite you to my balance bar and my little magic wand. There we go. And for those of you who would like that one free book, today it's going to be LinkedIn. The first person to message me on LinkedIn will get a signed copy of Frederick's book that he is so kindly and generously giving away, and in my role as the Asian Oprah, which is a whole lot better than the Asian female Dr. Phil. But I'm very grateful for that honorable moniker. And a couple of things to give you notice of. let's see. Today is the last day, day 21 of the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, round 40. So we've been doing this for 40 months in a row. Round 41 will start on November 1st. So please go to my website, the number 4balance.org, for details on how to sign up. If you make it 21 days in a row without complaining, you do get a prize. So please do sign up on my guest book there. As well, I will be a speaker at the Make It in America conference on November the 22nd. So please do find makeitinamerica.net online to register for that. I will be speaking with a plethora of inspirational guests. Two will be on my show on November 11th. We've got a man who is part of the pioneering of stem cell research, opening the largest facility in India, as well as an electric cellist who are both award winners with me after the conference. I would love to have you join me in celebrating my 5th award, which is the Asian Heritage Award, Best in Entrepreneurship. And you can go to the AsianHeritageAwards.com to get details on those tickets. And I would love for you to join me. I also am blessed. I wanted to shout out to an amazing photographer and stylist, Ricky Rohn, and photographer Petra Kovacs, who I got to work with yesterday. I was honored with an article in the World Journal, largest Chinese publication in North America, and the editor from Marie Claire magazine actually noticed it, read it, and asked for a spread on me. So we did the photo shoot yesterday. It will be coming out the anniversary issue, and that's Marie Claire magazine China, Hearst magazine. So you can pick that up at the newsstands. Finally, next week we are going to be having that Marvin Gaye revisit when I do every month. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the sexual healing once a month program. So please tune in. I have a wonderful new co-host coming on, Colette G, and she is the holistic love coach that tells you what men and women really mean when they say, I love you. So tune in next week for Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at Naturally High Noon, UBN Radio, and we'll be replaying this Thursday on my newly syndicated NBC News Radio, KCAA AM 1050. And you can either go online for that or you can call in at 832-999-1000 and listen and see this replay of the amazing inspirational story of Frederick and Jesse's Place with Jessica and Linda. Thank you one more time for coming on the show. You've been listening to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.